Hello, all you coin aficionados out there, and welcome to the DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Today we have two 1970 D coins for you from the United States of America. So these U.S. nickels or 5-cent coins, they say, "In God We Trust" on this side, uh, Liberty with a star here. You can see that star there, 1970, and then we have the mint mark down here, and they both have Thomas Jefferson facing to the left. This is the coin that the U.S. Mint made from 1938 until 2003. It was engraved by Felix Schlag, who we can see the initials down here, FS, or Felix Schlag. And when we blow it up like that, we can also see um, that that there is a little bit of a drift here where Jefferson, in this case, is actually drifting a little bit off the coin. Let me show you how we can tell that there's a little bit of a drift here. And by drift, I mean that it was stamped kind of almost in an offset way where they almost missed the stamping. So we see there's a lot of space above his head here and less space here. And that you may say, well, that's just the camera. But then I want to show you something else down here. I want to show you where the D is here. So this is from the Denver Mint, 1970. Look how close that D is to the edge, and look how the FS is going off the edge. On this one, look where the D is. I can actually get my pen point in between the D and the edge, and the FS is within the edge. So let's take a look at these two coins. All right, so see how close that D is to the edge, and see how far this one is from the edge? That's a huge difference. The other thing is, this is very close to being a filled D on this one. So this one's drifting off the edge and the D's almost touching. This one looks almost like it's a filled D, which you see sometimes in some of the quarters and other coins, where when they actually stamped it, there was a little extra material here and it got stuck inside the D. So this D and this D are quite different. Um, where they are is different, what they look like is different, and they're both from 1970. So I think what we've got here is two coins that didn't quite meet the standards of the minting process, but they're probably not going to be hugely valuable. What I'd like to do for me is to keep them together so I can show somebody, hey, look where this D is compared to the spacing, and look where this D is compared to the spacing. Now, how would the D be in a different spot and how would it look different? Well, every one of these dies in 1970, in fact, before 1985, every one of these dies was hand stamped. What I mean by that is an employee actually took a rod with a small D on it and stamped it into the die, hand stamped it. He hit it with a hammer. Hit the metal with a hammer to stamp the D into the die. And when the D got stamped into the die, clearly they did it differently on both of these in terms of the spacing. So this is simply an error, not an error, but a choice as to where the D was going to be put by the man who stamped it in there. The other thing is that this coin was offset too, so it kind of doubled up. So that's what makes it a lot different. Not only was this D placed in a different spot compared to the other ones. So you see how this one's close to the top and this one's like way down in the middle, but also this coin started going off the edge. So when this D was stamped after they had this lettering in, the whole image was starting to go off the edge, but they already had this lettering on. So this lettering on both of these is in the same exact place. The Liberty Star 1970. What is not in the same exact place is the image, which is moved down slightly, and the D, which has been put in a different spot by whoever stamped into that die. At least that's my understanding of this. So if we look at the back of these coins, they're going to be the same, and these are very worn coins. This is, one of the ways you tell about these nickels is you look at the number of steps here. Well, there's none. You look at how clear the window is up here. You can't even tell that there is a window up here. There's a little hole. You look at the planter over here, and you can't see that there is any planter or anything else over here. So this says e pluribus unum at the top. This is Monticello, which it says right below it. It says 5 cents here, and United States of America down here. The nickels, or the U.S., what we call a nickel, we call it because it is a copper nickel coin, and it is worth 5 cents. But nowhere on this coin does it say a nickel, even though in America they'd call it a nickel. In the United States of America, they'd call it a nickel. And nowhere on the U.S. dime does it say 10 cents, even though we know that a U.S. dime is worth 10 cents. It doesn't say 10 cents on there anywhere. It simply says 1 dime, and I'll show you that right there. So 1 dime, it says on the dime. So this is a 10-cent piece. This is a 5-cent piece. But the 10-cent piece doesn't say 10 cents anywhere on it, and the 5-cent piece doesn't say a nickel anywhere on it. All right, so back to our minting issues version of the 1970D Denver Mint. They made 515.5 million of these, so you can see why they may have had a number of dies that they used. And you can also see why they may have made some small mistakes as they went along. This coin was also made at the San Francisco Mint, where they made 239 million of them. I'm not sure if I said this, but right down here at the bottom is some initials, and that's for Felix Schlag, who was the engraver of this coin. And he engraved it back before the 1938 first version came out. Now, you note also that I didn't mention Philadelphia, and that is because in 1970, Philadelphia did not mint any nickels. So there are no P's and there are no blanks. If you have a 1970 nickel, it's either going to have a D or an S on it. If it's really shiny and looks beautiful and is in a set, it's one of the proof sets from San Francisco with an S on it. If it's just a regular circulating coin and looks worn like this and has an S on it, that's the regular circulation from San Francisco. And if it has a D on it like this, it's never been a proof coin, but you may be able to find it in an uncirculated variety. All right, that's all we have for today. Have a great day from the DC Coin World International Coin Channel.